Okay, we're now going to pass to our first masterclass of the day. Marjan van Aubel is a solar designer from the Netherlands, now based in Italy. She's the co-founder of the Solar Biennale, and she's also the inventor or the designer behind the brilliant Sunne light. So let's bring her onto stage for her presentation. She's here. I'm going to sit and watch you from here.
Okay. Grazie. Every hour, we receive enough sunlight to provide the whole world with enough electricity for an entire year. 1 hour is enough to power everything and everyone. That's crazy, right? We are sunlighted because the sun is here every day. Every day, it rises in the east and goes down in the west. Every day. Not only today, but also tomorrow, the day after, and the day after that. For at least 4.5 billion years and another 5 billion years. We are here because of the sun, because without the sun, there was no life. Every tree, every plant, every flower, every mushroom, every bird, everything on Earth exists because of the sun. And because the sun is everywhere, we will capture it everywhere. Okay, think ahead. Imagine a star with a sphere around it that will capture all its energy. Or satellites into space that will capture the energy and will beam it onto the Earth, something the European Space Agency is already working on. But also here on Earth, there will be buildings, cars, textiles, even fashion with integrated solar energy. And it will be everywhere. And remember this mobile phone. And this, in only 20 years, it went from this like going to your house and calling your friends up, from this like big thing into everyone with a mobile phone. And at that time, we couldn't imagine that this would happen so fast, that we would be connected, reachable all over the time, over the world. And this will happen with solar too. And the question is not how, it is when. Because it is already happening. So we can think about necessity, because we all know there's a huge power needs coming in the future, and that will only grow, or with beauty. And I'm not here at the solar panel conference. We're here to talk about design. And beauty always has had a very important role to play in history. I mean, we built these amazing buildings in the past with the sun. This is Stonehenge. And this is being built to mark the notion of time. So in the summer solstice, when the sun goes up, it aligns with the stones, so you would see the sunset. And winter solstice, it aligns with the sunset. And there are hundreds of more examples that we're building with the sun. For example, these pyramids in ancient Mexico, Teotihuacan, where actually they were built to honor the sun. But here in Rome too, the Pantheon, with its very big hole in the middle, that's the only light source, 8.3 meters, and it follows the sun path. And the most amazing fact is that on the 21st of April, the anniversary of Rome, it hits this specific point, so the emperor could come in and stand there and be enlightened. I mean, that's fascinating that we built this just for that. And even in the Netherlands, where I'm from, this is 400 years ago, we built these structures to pump the water out and bring it onto the land. And I don't think these still would exist if they would be ugly, because they don't function anymore, but they are still there 100 years later because they're beautiful. And yeah, if we think about the Netherlands, we think about a windmill, it's an icon, it's a monument. We earn our pride because of the windmills. So there's nothing wrong with beauty. So today I'm here to talk about the power of design. When I studied at the Royal College of Art in London, that's nearly 12 years ago, I still have to think about this. You study there to follow your passion. And my passion happens to be solar energy. And at that time, it was kind of like a different topic because solar cells were still expensive, they were all mass scale. And then, I can see that something that really changed there. Because there are so many things that happened with like the cost and efficiency, but it's this weird topic. It's like not very common to combine the design and the solar panels, but it's happened to be such a nice little world that I created, and because I focus so much on there, I can do so many different things. I even written a book about this, where I researched the whole history of the sun. So how did we live with the sun? How did we build with the sun? Why do solar panels exist? How do they work? Looked at the field of solar design. Who are the solar designers? What do they do? And at the future on how to design a post-fossil world with the sun. And what do we need to do for that? And the conclusion was again that everything will be integrated with solar energy because the sun is always there. Okay, let me show you some examples of my work. I collaborate with the Swarovski, the crystal company. And if you cut crystals in a certain way, you're able to bend and direct the light onto a certain place. Here we use that to focus the light onto a solar panel, making them more efficient, but using aesthetics. So you take this solar crystal into the light during the day, and then it charges from the sun. And in the evening, you put it in a docking station, and it powers these chandeliers. So it's, working with efficiency, but also with beauty. And over the time, I found a lot of different technology that weren't the blue solar panels, as we all know from the roofs, but really different one. They were colored, they were transparent, they were organic, and some even worked indoors. So if you can use solar panels indoors, that's a whole different new way of designing with them. This is current table, where the whole tabletop consists out of these colored solar cells. And the table is orange because it's a very stable color. And you can charge your phone from in the battery here, and the table works kind of for you. You have to take care a bit for it, because if you leave too much stuff on it, it doesn't work, so it doesn't charge for you. But I'm giving extra functions to objects. So a table is not just a table, but it's also a little power station. So the more surface you have, the more energy you can harvest. This is current window, where we replaced all windows of a house in Soho in London for these current windows. And people from the street could come in and charge their phone through the window ledges. So I like to think about in different scales. So I showed you objects and windows, but also in buildings. This is the solar pavilion for the Dutch Design Week, where I was the ambassador of 2 years ago. And this tiles, like a fish scale mesh, has a sort of special printing technique that it kind of like leaves the sunlight through, but your eyes can see these colors. So it's a complete new way of seeing solar panels. And for the pavilion, we used the power for heat and lighting in the evening. So two other qualities of the sun. So it was really like a hub, and in the evening and during the day, people came together. It was warm, it was nice, there were people dancing. And here I was invited by V8 architects for the Dutch pavilion for the World Expo in Dubai. And the building works as a biotope. So they combined water, food, and energy. And what you see here is this big dome that actually catches from the air rainwater that you could actually drink. That's pretty mad. And inside the sort of cone, there were mushrooms growing. On the outside, there were plants growing that you could eat. And they asked me to take care of the energy part. So the whole roof consists out of organic solar cells. And they are transparent, colorful. You can print them in different sizes. And they are printed on a very thin sheet that you can have different shades, different colors. So a lot of different varieties. And they are organic because they're using different elements than the normal crystalline solar cells, which gives beautiful reflections in the pavilion, like a bit like a modern church. What I really liked about this building is that the World Expo is just for a period of 6 months, and then after, it's basically the building lost its function, but this was completely circular. So all the materials, the glass for the solar panels, were borrowed or lended from local manufacturers. So after that, that went back to the manufacturers, and the steel structures you see are now being probably used in bridges in Dubai. So there's nothing left of that pavilion. Everything has its second function. And here, because I spent way too much time on working on the colors and patterns, but it was on a 20 meters high, so you couldn't really see that so much. So I wanted to bring that a bit closer to you. And this is Ra. It's a self-powering artwork. So during the day, it harvests energy, and in the evening, it illuminates out of itself. And again, it's using these very thin, lightweight sheets. And this, I started with this 4 years ago, and it's still an ongoing research because it has so many potential, and I'm taking it to the next level now to see it as a textile or seeing it in 3D. It's very fun to work with this, as you have so many options of working with this material. And this was last year during Salone at forgot the name. A Super Studio, sorry, at Super Studio, and in Art Basel Design Miami. And it's a collaboration with Lexus. And here we placed all the sheets in a row, so you get kind of like this holographic illusion of a car. So when you walk around the installation, sometimes you see the car, sometimes you don't. And the sheets generated power for the installation itself, because when you approach the car, it's reacted to you through sensors, and you get instant feedback through sound and music. Okay, we are here at a lighting conference, so I'll show you some more lights. This is Sunne, and this is a self-powering solar light that mimics the sun. One side is solar panel, and you hang it in front of the window. And during the day, it charges. And when the sun goes down, Sunne goes on automatically. It has 3 different settings: sunrise, sunset, and sunlight. And you can change that through an app. And through the same app, you can also see how much Sunne has charged during the day. So you really have this relationship with the sun, so you see how it all went today. It's really to bring the magic of sunset in your home, as Sunne is autonomous. And we started this as a Kickstarter because I really wanted to bring this light to the market and to make it a real product. And that went super successful. And then it actually got a bit out of hand because our studio became a little bit like a lighting company. So yeah, we were just doing that, but we still have some limited pieces left. But the good news is that Sunne has been taken over by a lighting company and will be produced and distributed worldwide soon, which I'm very happy about. Yeah, in order to change something, you need to feel it. You need to feel connected, you need to be aware. And to become aware, something needs to click inside you. And that happens through the senses. Or magic or beauty also helps. And that is why design has such an important role to play in the energy transition. And I've showed you a table, a window, different objects that basically use the power of the sun to convert sunlight into electricity. But the sun has so many more qualities than just providing energy. It gives us vitamin D, it gives us heat, it gives us a notion of time, it makes us happy, very important. And like I said, life exists because of the sun. In this work, The Sun, My Heart, Sunne became a bit grown up as it matched to your senses. It's constructed out of 77 sunnes. And to feel the connection with the sun, you can place your hand on a sensor and it reads the information and converts that into your personal, unique sunset. And the sound you hear is a sound by the sun captured by NASA. And it connects to you with your theta waves. And that's like a state of relaxation that happens in the brain, also when you meditate or are very relaxed. My aim is to change the narrative of solar energy. And in the future, everything will be solar powered. And to do that, we need to collaborate. We need to bring people together. That is why I started a movement to bring people together. The solar movement is an event, and we have the solar biennial that happens every 2 years. I set it up with solar designer Pauline van Dongen, who integrates solar into textiles. And the first biennial was held 2 years ago in the Netherlands at the New Institute in Rotterdam. And it was a program of 6 weeks with 25 programs in the forms of lectures, talks, workshops, pavilions, everything in 3 cities to bring scientists, architects, philosophers, everyone who works in the fields of solar together, because it's going to be everywhere. We need to work on this in a broader sense. And 2 weeks ago, the second edition opened its doors in Mudak, Switzerland. And it's a major exhibition with artists, designers, and it taps on like more futuristic way of thinking, solar punk, and also a bit critical. So it had different installations, performances, and then maybe you recognize those as well. And the curator was very proud that he found a spot in the sun as well, so they would work as well. So solar design is inevitable. And in the future, everything will capture its own energy. And not just the big things and the obvious things, such as ceramic and glass and textiles for architectural applications, but also the small things, things we can't imagine at the moment, as we are reaching a certain tipping point. And it goes faster than we think. So in the future, there will be music, dance, AI, the streets, your coffee. Everything will be solar powered, as the sun is everywhere. We are sunlighted for another 5 billion years. Thank you.
Thank you,
Shall I sit
Marjan.
down?
Yeah, come and sit down. Thanks so much for that inspiring talk. I mean, we're going to hopefully ask a few questions from the audience in a bit, but I have a few questions I wanted to ask you myself. I mean, tell me, do you see a sort of world then of almost like these mini grids, you know, that this decentralized energy, the fact that everyone maybe potentially is going to be creating their own energy in their homes?
I mean, I see a whole future where everything, like the table, the glasses, all these things will like generate its own energy. And a step towards that, yes, is communities, microgrids, that work together to generate their energy. So it's not about that people have just the solar panels on their house and that's it, and it goes to the grid, but they can also collaborate on that. So it becomes a bit more, I really like a community. So if your neighbor has charged more during the day than you did, you can swap that, and that's like a really community way. So energy will become currency.
Okay. Well, I mean, you talked about your sort of mission to make things beautiful in a way, and I mean, I have to ask, why do you think solar panels, they haven't really moved on in terms of looks, as in they can still often be, and I think you were sort of inspired on this solar course when you saw, I think, some solar panels on a hut somewhere in the mountains, if I remember correctly. But why has it not really moved on? Why are solar panels, do you think, still quite ugly?
Yeah, good question. I mean, that has to do with, in the past, solar energy was very expensive. So, I mean, first solar panels were made out of gold even. Like, they were really looking into the technology itself and how to make that efficient. And that's why you saw a very, like, on one big house, some tiny solar panels somewhere, because it's so expensive. And that's changed because production has speed up, mass production. They all look the same because if something becomes cheaper if it's being mass produced. So yeah, it's really coming from that this like technical, economical approach. So it's like scale and mass, and not very much about like, yeah, and it's also quite like high up on your house. You don't really see it so much, or somewhere out in the field. So it's like we don't care so much about like if it's ugly, because it's just function. It has to work.
But you think as it becomes cheaper, because obviously, you know, solar panels are so much less expensive now. Do you think as that happens, there will be more thought towards something that actually looks nice or can be integrated like what you're doing in design?
Yeah, I mean, solar energy is already one of the cheapest sources in most countries now. So that changed a lot. So now there is room and space for it, and you can see as in the numbers that people making predictions like, okay, we need to be there in this time, but we really went beyond that. It went quicker than we thought, and that's why there's room now for innovation, sort of really welcoming it into our environment, and because there's a demand. I mean, an architect doesn't build a house and then makes it very beautiful and then finish it with these ugly solar panels. So.
I have to talk about the industry. I mean, that's a slightly nebulous term anyway, but you know, it's your presentation was very inspiring and positive, and I don't want to put a downer on it, but I have to ask the question: how do you get industry on board? Because we've seen with things like electric cars, look, the technology's there, and yet there's been a sort of slowdown in people buying them. Yes, that they are still relatively expensive, but how do you get people to sort of adopt this? Because obviously, again, the technology is there, it's getting better all the time. How do you get makers, designers, distributors, the whole network the industry on board? How do you get them to adopt it?
Yeah, that's a lot of collaboration between the industry and the designers, and those links need to be made. Yeah, like I said in the beginning when I just started, it was like very difficult for me to like, hey, I want to integrate solar into this cup or plate, and it's just like, yeah, but why would you do it? You need scale, but you don't really need scale for solar energy. And I think it's like with most innovation, you always need like a small group that starts with that. I mean, first people thought you were a bit crazy driving an electric car, and then you need more, and you see, oh, your neighbor has one, the other neighbor has one too, so it starts that. So that's top down, but things need to also change from the top, and if they change, the very rich, if they change and not investing in fossil fuels anymore, which will happen sooner or later because oil is finishing, then things really change, and then we come on this tipping point, and things will go very fast.
But do you see yourself as an ambassador, a thought leader, not just a designer, because maybe you have to go and convince those people, or at least try and bring those networks together to make this possible, and to make it also possibly scale in the future?
Yeah, that's really the reason why we set up the solar movement, because we, Pauline and I, we know of each other, but we never met each other. So, and it's like all these different worlds. So the innovation, the scientists, the architects, they never really talk to each other. So how do you bring these people together? And that was very inspiring and so necessary at the two solar biennials, when people all over the world came to talk about this. And you really, I mean, that's what I love working in this field, because everyone is so driven, wants to change things from very different perspectives. And that gives literally energy. And you need, I mean, you can see the solar movement's also growing. I'm here on a lighting conference to talk about solar. So it needs a lot of people.
Let's talk about batteries. Exciting topic. But I mean, you talked about your table in the presentation. Obviously, you talked about that house in London where people could come and charge their phones. That is, of course, incredible. It's amazing that you can do that, but it's still, I guess, quite small scale for the moment what you can do with these things, as in the battery capacity doesn't allow you to do, maybe power an appliance. Do you see that changing soon? Obviously, batteries are getting better, but that's sort of, I guess, also an integral part of your work, isn't it? The technology side, which is improving. Do you think these batteries that are in, say, legs of tables or integrated into your designs will soon be able to do even bigger tasks, not just charge a phone?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the innovation in batteries are going super fast, and I would say it's a bit 10 years behind of the solar innovation, so they need to catch up so they can match. But there's a lot of innovation there, and we need to rely on it, and we need to rethink the materials we use in batteries, and there's a lot of other possibilities of even in your house to store it into the ground itself. There are way more low-tech, simple solution also available, but hasn't been explored yet enough.
I mean, are there design constraints, or do you have to design around, because obviously you need batteries to store this energy. Once you get the solar energy, then it needs to be stored somewhere. Does that affect your design? The fact that you have to design around a battery, how does that change things?
Yeah, I think that is also anyway what you do when you design. I mean, I have to constantly think, how is this getting as much as sunlight? How do you, if I like that phrase that Pauline said, that she made like a solar powered garment, and that you need to wear it in the sun, for example. A battery has a certain size, so you walk around, but batteries are also in very different sizes.
So do you
I think design is always working with limitations.
Yeah. So you think wearable solar panels or solar charging is coming? Because I guess there's been a talk about wearable tech for quite a long time.
Yeah.
The futurists were saying a while ago, we're going to have all these things integrated into our clothing. We haven't quite seen it I don't know if there's anyone here wearing wearable tech, but we haven't quite seen it yet. So, but do you think there's going to be a speeding up that's going to come?
Yeah, maybe we wouldn't start there really, but it will happen in the future. Like again, that's why I gave the example of the mobile phone. I remember like, why would you be connected all the time? Why would I need that? I just go to the pay phone and call my mom if I want to play at my friend a bit later. But here we are, 30 years later, everyone with a mobile phone. So suddenly, when an innovation like hits, it can go super quick.
Let's talk about the Sunne light. Sunne. Did I pronounce it right?
Sunne. It's old English for sun. Yeah.
Okay, old English. Yeah. I mean, you talked about how it sort of recreates sunrise, sunset, sunlight. Do you see the light do you see this light as something that is there to enhance your mood or change your mood? It's not just a light, and we're probably going to be talking about this over the next couple of days, what light does to the body.
Yeah.
But is this to sort of replicate not just something that produces nice lighting in your home, that also makes you feel a certain way, that releases a certain feeling in you?
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like mesmerized when the moment when the sun goes down, you're watching the sunset on a beautiful beach and speechless, and it's sometimes super nice to see a whole beach is people coming to the beach to just watch the sunset, and then everyone goes. It's like that's magic to me. And that moment, I wanted to catch in the light and to really bring this natural elements, natural technology back into your home, because in the city, for example, I love that my dad is obsessed. Okay, the sun is going down because the light goes on, because it knows that. And when you're in a city, you can't often not see when the sun goes down. It's just a number or something. So this relationship with time, with the sun, because of technology, because of light, our whole day changed. So I think it's very important to keep this notion of time and relationship with the sun.
I like that idea. So it's also if you don't happen to live on a beach or in the mountains where you can see these incredible sunsets, it's also a sort of reminder, if you are in a busy urban environment, to connect with natural light, to connect with the sunset. The sort of it going on is a sort of mental reminder to you in a way, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can also wake up with the sunrise, for example, and then start your day slow. Do a bit of yoga or meditate. I don't know what you do in the morning, but yeah, it's like a different pace, and yeah, the light changes throughout the whole day, and I think that's very beautiful.
And that light, of course, you mentioned is going into production. Can you share any details for anyone who may be interested in it about what's happening and when it's going to be available more widely?
Yeah, it's been taken over by a Dutch-American lighting company called Grey Pants, and they are super excited. I mean, I remember Arno, the owner, came to see Sunne, and he wrote me an email. It was like, "I'm in love," and that was the subtext of the title. And he really kept on talking about Sunne. I was like, "Okay, this is a guy I want to work with." And I mean, like I said, we started as a Kickstarter with friends and stuff. You really start from nothing, and now it's amazing to see that the whole teams, it has like this whole, everything has a label and stuff. It's really like, is ready to grow. So I'm very excited about that.
I'm excited to see it. I'll jump in if people are shy, but I'm hoping they're not going to be shy. We're going to see if anyone would like to ask a question, and hopefully there's someone running around with the microphone. Would anyone like to ask Marjan a question? Do we have a mic as well? Any takers? Come on, people, don't be shy. Over there, we've got... Thank you. Thank you for being the first person to step up. I appreciate that.
Hello? That's quite loud. A little bit of a technical question. I'm interested in this sort of translucent colored cells that you showed in a lot of your projects. I'm just wondering if that's somebody's proprietary technology, if it's readily available to manufacturers, and if so, sort of how it compares to more traditional photovoltaic cells in terms of performance and cost?
Yeah, there are several companies that produce that. I work with a company in Germany. Yeah, to talk about efficiency, I have to go into physics because when a solar panel is blue because it's absorbed the most sunlight, and when something is transparent, it also leaves light through. So if you make the comparison between those cells and these cells, then I would say, yeah, they are more efficient. But at the same time, you're using surfaces that normally a window wouldn't charge energy. And they work different because they work in diffuse light and don't need that direct sunlight all the time. So they work on moments when the sort of traditional monocrystalline cells won't work. So it's a bit of a different comparison.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to ask a question? Speak now or forever hold your peace. There's someone else.
I'm sorry, I am an assigned photographer to the event, but I had a question. Do you think that there will be troubles with the industrial pipeline because of the minerals that are to be involved in the production and so on? Do you think that there will be political issues between countries about that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, there are wars being fighted over oils, but I personally don't work with the sort of traditional cells, and I think the answer should not only be that. And that's why I think it's like we need different answers to that. And yes, because we need the energy transition, those big parks with like the mass scale integration is necessary for temporary, but we shouldn't. That is not the real answer. And I think there are better technologies such as the organic photovoltaic that doesn't have that issues. I'm working with. That's a third generation technology, and they can produce also locally, and also they're made circular. So when the solar cell doesn't work anymore, they can be taken apart and reused. And I think those are things we need to think of and really start thinking cathedral, not only like in 10 years, 5 years, 40 years, but really further. So what is happening with our materials? How are our relationship with the countries around us? Because how it's been done now, that's not the answer.
Okay. My job is also to keep this on time, so there's time for one more question. I did see there was a lady over here who had her hand up before.
Hi, thank you for the conversation. What are you meaning about organic solar panels? Like organic solar panels, what are you meaning about it?
That is, so they're not made of like the heavy silicium, which is basically silicium is made out of sand, but it's very pure. So it's like 90.99% purified, and that takes a lot of energy to do that. And so that the payback time of the organic cells, and they're organic because they're made of carbon, is way less. So if you do the energy payback time conversion is like a couple of months, you get the energy you put in making the solar cells back in comparison to like a couple of years with the traditional solar cells.
Thank you.
Okay, well listen, thank you for your amazing presentation and our conversation. A lot to think about, and we look forward to seeing what you do over the coming years. So thanks again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for listening.
Thanks, Martin.